Russia-Ukraine war live, Zelenskyy seeks additional long-range weapons for his troops. On the 111th day of the Russia-Ukraine war, fighting raged in the eastern part of the country with severe battles in Lysychansk and Severodonetsk. Russian troops have hit a chemical steel plant in the region, further destroying a key escape link over the Siverskyi River. At least 23 people were injured after rampant missile strikes in Ternopil. Meanwhile, Moscow formally withdrew from the UNWTO. Germany mulls introducing assets register to bolster sanctions against Russian oligarchs. Germany intends to establish an assets register to improve the effectiveness of sanctions against the money of unknown origin, particularly Russian oligarchs holding. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz made these remarks while speaking at a Financial Action Task Force (FATF) conference on money laundering. Russia's aggression against Ukraine has exposed that sanctions need to be more effective, especially against oligarchs abroad, Scholz stated, as per CNN. He further stated that Germany will create a special hotline to assist whistleblowers. Russia's war against Ukraine marks a watershed for all of us because it threatens the global order itself, the German Chancellor added. European Commission's Vice President Timmermans asserts bloc cannot say no to Ukraine's candidature. European Commission Vice President, Frans Timmermans, has said that they cannot reveal a date for Ukraine's possible accession to the bloc. He asserted that they cannot say no to Ukraine if they wish to join the EU, as the war-torn nation has been defending European values, Courier reported, citing ORF-Zibt. The statement of the EU Commission President comes at a time the EU Commission is set to take a decision on whether Ukraine will be granted EU candidate status or not. Frans Timmermans asserted that they cannot let Russia win the war with regard to sanctions. Timmermans emphasized that Europe should not cause harm to itself through a gas embargo, as it could result in a split. He asserted that the EU needs to become independent of Russian energy imports and stressed that the energy transition needs to be accelerated. As per the Courier report, the European Commission Vice President stressed that in order to stop dependency on Russian energy imports, they need to increase the production of solar, wind energy and biomethane. Ukraine needs more long-range weapons amid ongoing war. Zelenskyy. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy claimed that his forces have enough ammunition and weapons, but needs more long-range weapons. We have enough weapons. What we don't have enough of are the weapons that really hit the range that we need to reduce the advantage of the Russian Federation's equipment, he told reporters, as per The Guardian. Ukrainian air defense system shoots down enemy missile in Ternopil, reports. According to reports, the Ukrainian air defense system has shot down an enemy missile in Ternopil city. Zelenskyy urges German Chancellor Scholz to support Ukraine and worry less about Russia. Embattled Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy urged German Chancellor Olaf Scholz to express unwavering support for Kyiv, accusing him of being overly concerned about the implications for Berlin's relations with Moscow. Zelenskyy made the remarks during an interview with German public television ZDF. It is pertinent to mention here that Scholz may make his first trip to Ukraine on June 16. Renowned activist Roman Ratoshny killed near Izium city in Ukraine, report. According to reports, Roman Ratoshny, a well-known activist from Kyiv, was killed in combat near Izium. 24-year-old Ratoshny was a leader of the non-profit organization Let's Protect Protasiv Yar, which battled illegal construction at Protasiv Yar. He was also an active participant of the Revolution of Dignity in 2014, the Kyiv Independent reported. Ukrainian prosecutor general claims to be investigating deaths of 7 people in Bucha. The Ukrainian prosecutor general claimed that the death of 7 citizens found with their hands tied behind their backs outside the Kyiv suburb of Bucha is being investigated. According to authorities, bodies of 7 individuals with gunshot wounds and hands tied behind their backs were discovered in the trenches of formerly Russian-held positions in the forest near the village of Myrodsk. CNN report. Russia lost nearly 32,500 soldiers since onset of war, Ukraine. In its latest operational update, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry claimed that Russia has lost nearly 32,500 soldiers, 3,503 armored personnel vehicles, APV, 1,434 tanks, 721 artillery systems and 229 multiple launch rocket systems, MLRS, and at least. In addition, the invaders also lost as many as 3,503 vehicles and fuel tanks, 588 unmanned aerial vehicles, UAV, 213 aircraft, 179 helicopters, 125 cruise missiles, and 54 special equipment and 13 boats, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. Kherson leader says we are irrevocably Russian Federation. The deputy head of the Russian-imposed military-civilian administration of the occupied Kherson region in Ukraine has said it will remain forever Russian. On Tuesday, RIA Novosti news agency reported Kirill Stremeltsov as saying that we, Kherson residents, are already irrevocably the Russian Federation. He added, "We need to remember this, rebuild, get passports of citizens of the Russian Federation and remember that we will really feel at home." USFM inconclusive on negotiating with Donetsk over situation of British POW '*S. British Foreign Secretary Liz Truss has refused to be drawn on whether she would negotiate directly with the self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic over the situation of Aden. Speaking to BBC Radio, Truss said, "These people are prisoners of war, fighting for the Ukrainian army. And it's important to maintain that principle. And the Russian proxies are violating the Geneva Convention. And we need to be very, very clear about that. That's why the best route is through the Ukrainians, and I can't go into the details of my discussions with the Ukrainians, but I can assure you, and I can assure the families, that we are working flat out on this." Nearly 500 civilians remain trapped at a chemical plant in Severodonetsk. Around 500 civilians, including dozens of children, remain on the territory of the ISO chemical plant in Severodonetsk. Earlier this week, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said that Severodonetsk had become the epicenter of the Russian invasion. Notably, the city is located in the eastern Luhansk region, which Russia said needed to be liberated from Ukraine. Ukraine's defense minister Kuleba calls for heavy weapons. As Russia's war of attrition continues for the 111th day, Ukraine's Minister of Defense called for more heavy weapons from the West. In a Twitter post, Dmytro Kuleba said, "Ukraine has proven it can punch well above its weight and win important battles against all odds. Kyiv, Chernihiv, Sumy. Imagine what Ukraine can do with sufficient tools. I urge partners to set a clear goal of Ukrainian victory and speed up deliveries of heavy weapons." US extends sanctions against Russia's top ally Belarus. US President Joe Biden has officially announced that he is extending sanctions against Belarus for a year, Ukraine now reported on. Meanwhile, the White House in a statement reasoned that it was because the Belarusian regime posed an extraordinary threat to the security and foreign policy of the U.S. Belarus has constantly offered support to Russia and allowed Putin's troops to use its territories to launch attacks on Ukraine. The actions and policies of certain members of the Belarusian government and others, as well as the malicious activities and ongoing abuses of the Belarusian regime, continue to pose an unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security and foreign policy of the United States, White House said in a "We will liberate our Crimea as well," says Pres. Zelenskyy. In his nightly address on Monday, Ukraine's embattled President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said that his troops will liberate the Crimean Peninsula, which was captured by Russia in The flag of Ukraine will fly again over Yalta and Sudak, over Dnipro and Yevpatoria, he said. Zelenskyy urged his compatriots to let every Russian official remember, this is not the land where they will have peace. Viral photo shows two defenders getting married amidst Russian invasion. Two defenders battling the Russian invasion of Ukraine got married in the city of Poltava. A photograph that is now doing rounds on social media shows Katerina and Vadim celebrating their nuptials. Notably, the marriage was arranged in just a few hours. U.S. pledges $2.6 million to alleviate hunger in Ukraine. The United States, along with allies and partners, will actively respond to the challenges of the global food crisis, which has significantly worsened since Russia resolved the war against Ukraine. State Department. It added that the Biden administration has pledged $2.6 billion in humanitarian aid to alleviate hunger in the war-torn country. Notably, it emphasized that at least 40 million people will slip into a food crisis by the end of this year. Russia Day celebrated in occupied parts of Kherson. A video that has surfaced online shows Russia Day being celebrated in the occupied region on Kherson. Situated in the south of Ukraine, Kherson was one of the first targets of the Russian troops. A separate report by BBC revealed that Russian occupation authorities in southern Ukraine have started handing out Russian passports to locals in the city. Zelenskyy talks to Dutch PM, discusses Ukraine's accession to EU. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy held talks with Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte on Monday. During the conversation, both the leaders discussed the current ongoing situation in Ukraine. Zelenskyy also thanked Rutte for the defense assistance provided by the Netherlands in countering Russian aggression. Notably, both the leaders also deliberated upon Ukraine's accession to the European Union. Ukraine will survive the war and will be a sovereign country, Pentagon official. Speaking at an exclusive interview during the 7th Annual Defense One Tech Summit, Deputy Defense Secretary Kathleen Hicks said, "I think what we can assure ourselves today is that there will be a country called Ukraine. It will be a sovereign country and that country will have a military that will need to defend it. And so as we look ahead, we're thinking through what are the kinds of capabilities that the Ukrainians need to protect themselves over the long term." French Press. Emmanuel Macron plans to visit Kyiv on June 15. Amidst the ongoing conflict, French President Emmanuel Macron might visit the Ukrainian capital Kyiv on June 15, which is Wednesday. Although, the visit has not been 100% confirmed yet, said Ukraine Bruno Casano. Macron plans to visit Kyiv together with the Italian Prime Minister and German Chancellor, according to a report by The Guardian. Connectivity to Severodonetsk has been severed, impossible to evacuate residents, official. All bridges leading to Severodonetsk have been destroyed, making it impossible to deliver aid to the region or even evacuate citizens, head of Luhansk Regional Military Administration Serhiy Haidai said on Monday. As Russia continues its war of attrition to take total control of the eastern city, he revealed that Ukrainian troops still control a part of it.